Hello, welcome to day 7. Hello, welcome of our program, Becoming Authentic. How to become an authentic leader. How to become an authentic leader. This is day 7, like I did mention, and that says to you that we have been at it for 7 days. Um, and we have been looking at just one issue: authentic leadership. Authentic leadership. And my name is Olatunji Shobodu, by the way, and this is coming to you from the stable of Emet Leadership Academy. At Emet Leadership Academy, we nurture leaders based on truth. And truth for us is found in the Word of God. Truth is found in the Word of God, and nothing better to build your foundation of leadership upon outside the truth of the Word of God. And in there, we have an example of a master leader, one from whom we can learn tested and proven principles of leadership. They have worked over the years, and we are still benefiting from the efforts of those leaders even today. All right, so we've been looking at authentic leadership, and basically, we have been looking at it from the standpoint of distinguishing between walking your talk and walking the talk. And our premise has been that many leaders are frustrated, being unable to secure the full commitment to engage their people fully with the right heart, with the right attitude, um, because and of course, they do not trace it to issues of authenticity. They believe that they are being authentic, they have been sincere, they have given it their all, and somehow things are not coming together, at least on the part of their people. Yet, if you don't have the support of your people as a leader, so what are you doing? Probably taking a walk, as some people would say. And leadership is too burdensome, it's too sacrificial for you to waste any of those efforts. And so it becomes important to know, what are your people looking for? Your people are looking for you to walk the talk, not just to walk your talk. What's the difference? The difference is that walking your talk simply focuses you on aligning your actions with your words, when in fact, your people interpret walking the talk to be looking at you in relation to more than one dimension. They are not looking at just the relationship between your actions and your words. They are looking at the relationship between many things. And we identify that apart from your words, or put more specifically, the in alignment between your words and your actions, which is what everyone is conscious about, there are other aspects, and they include: one, your identity; two, your principles; three, the purpose of your leadership; four, the principle. Okay, I've talked about the principles, the gifts and talents that you bring to bear. Also, you have authority, which is what we are going to be focusing on right now. And then you have results. So there are more dimensions. And like we've said repeatedly over the course of the last couple of days, you may be excellent, great at aligning your actions with your words, what about the others? What happens with the other dimensions? So even if you scored 100 full marks on one dimension, there are six others that you've not been paying attention to. And your guess is as good as mine what your followers would score you on those other six. Now, before we go ahead, I think it's worth emphasizing that the verdict as to whether or not you are authentic is not yours to make, it is theirs to make. And theirs is most important in this relationship because they are the ones whose commitment you require. They are the ones whose trust you need to earn, whose faith you need to earn, whose respect you need in order for you to get your job done. Okay, so that's why we have to pay attention to what their own yardsticks or framework for assessing authenticity is, and we need to work towards uh, scoring great on that uh, in that framework. All right, so our custom has been to be guided by a set of slides. So I have slides for you again today. Um, but they're easy to follow, and I hope you've been enjoying them. And I know some of us would actually love to have access to the slides, but let me quickly say to you that you can gain access to the slides. If you were somebody like me, I would love to have access to the slides so I can, dig deeper on my own. I can reflect, I can meditate, I can make the most of these sessions for myself, and I believe that would happen for me by having personal access to the slides. If you want to have access to the slides, I want to suggest to you that you consider joining the Authentic Leadership Academy, and you can join that community right away for a token on monthly basis. Uh, a, a community of leaders who are constantly working towards authenticity and who know that authenticity is not the end of leadership, if you like, is the beginning of it. It is having the right platform to be able to make your impact as a leader, to be able to contribute your quota to the growth and development of society, to be able to add value to others. And that's what that community is all about. Is a learning community, is one that allows for interaction between all the members, bringing in guest speakers from time to time. And there's an annual Authentic Leadership Summit. There is a mastermind also for certain categories of leaders. You have the opportunity of networking. You have the opportunity of even bringing your issues to the platform, to the community, for the purpose of seeking counsel. You know what they say: in the midst of many counsels, there is safety. And with counsel, you shall make your war. And we're better to get counsel than the group of those who are guided in the understanding of leadership based on truth from the Word of God, based on example. And there's no credible example, than Jesus, where you have the privilege of access to the Word that is the foundation for his acts. Okay, so you have access to both the acts and the ways through which the acts are obtained. Those are some of the features and benefits actually that you can derive from membership of that platform. Like I said, it's paid. And there's a reason why that is the case, because we only want serious minded people. Where your treasure is, that's where your heart will be. Okay, so And of course, in order to manage and administer the platform, there are associated costs, and this will help us to cover some of that. Okay, so that's a quick one, and I'm mentioning that just because I just recall that some people will want access to the slides. We'll talk about this a little later at the close of the session, but you can go right away, scan the QR code, if you will, and it will take you to where you get more information and where you can actually secure your spot within the community. Um, Also, you can subscribe in any currency that you desire, either in Naira or in a foreign currency. Please go ahead, consider it. I recommend it. I'm the anchor, the facilitator, or the convener of the community, if you like. And if this series has shown you anything, I think it would have answered the question, uh, what do we have to offer on the platform? Okay, so thank you for joining, and let's go on to our focus for today. Again, our counsel is that you walk the talk, don't just walk your talk. And we are focusing on authenticity as far as it relates to authority. Be authentic in your authority is our charge for today. And as we have done previously, we'll essentially be looking at how to embrace the place of authority for your leadership role. A bit of a controversial, subject, um, and then, of course, to ensure that you understand how to leverage that authority for providing authentic leadership. We're starting from the importance of a leader's authority. Why did I say that this is a fairly controversial subject? I say that because, again, you have these repeated statements where you're made to think that authority doesn't matter for doing leadership right. Or if you want to be an effective leader, you should look elsewhere and not the authority, not authority. That is, don't use authority to lead. Okay, that the great leaders or the best leaders do not lead on the basis of authority. Um, well, I don't know how far that is true. And that's where we're starting from, the importance of a leader's authority. The issue is that let's not make any mistake about the fact that there is a place for the use of authority in carrying out your leadership responsibility. There's a clear space for you to use authority. Now, what the advocates of the statement that leadership is not about authority or title, what they try to suggest is that um, you shouldn't you should look to something else, all right, to other ways of mastering influence with your people instead of using authority. And I think part of the problem with that position is that they assume that, first, influence can be secured with your people, just like that, at the snap of a finger. And it never happens. If you're appointed a leader today, your people won't just respect you because you have been designated as the leader. And therefore, they would not necessarily just do what you need them to do just because you are being designated the leader. You need to work to earn their trust. Because until they believe in you, until they trust you, until that respect is in place, they will, you would have limited ability to influence them and to inspire them and all of that, talk. So, what happens between when you take on the responsibility and when you need, and when you succeed to earn the trust? What happens? Nothing happens. Everyone can carry out as he or she likes. That can't certainly be the case. And that's one of the reasons why authority is required. Because at that point, pending when you convince them that you are worth following, that you are worth their strong commitment, all right, you must have the ability to get them to do what needs to be done, all right, because there is work to be done. That relationship, the leader follower relationship, is such that there is work to be done. It's a collaborative and cooperative effort towards achieving certain objectives. Those objectives can't wait until your people decide that you are worth trusting. And so, in order to get them, all right, to fall in line with you, all right, you need authority. You need an instrument for doing that, for compelling that, even if you have to. I agree that you don't have to over rely on that. I agree that in using that, you must not jettison the need for you to build trust and influence. But let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. You need authority. It's important for anyone who wants to do leadership right. It enhances, your ability to play your role as a leader effectively. And leaders are people of authority. Leaders are people of authority. One of the implications of being designated a leader is that you are a person of authority. You command some level of authority. Leadership requires, it's a necessary input. Okay, whether you use it or not is a different thing. How you use it is also another matter. But to imagine that you can succeed as a leader without having authority that you can put to use with little or no effort is to be kidding as far as leadership is concerned. Authority is not something that you need to prepare, psych yourself up, or it doesn't require time to use. When you are designated head, for example, implied in that designation is what you can do. And indeed, what you can do is about decisions that you can make concerning resources that you have available and also your people. Your people are not resources, your people are an asset, but people don't just submit to a leader because he or she is designated such. If you don't have authority, if they don't see that you have authority, you'll be shocked how difficult it can be to get people to cooperate with you, to do what needs to be done. You'll be shocked. But that's who people are. That's how they are wired. You want the best of them, you have to give them a reason to commit. But like I said, pending when you succeed in giving them that reason, you succeed in getting them to embrace that reason, you need something else to get them to do what they need to do. And it wouldn't matter whether they put in 100% of their effort, it's not likely, but at least they will put in sufficient effort if you know how to use the authority well enough in order for you to get your job done. And hopefully, in the process as well, it helps you to build that trust, that and the influence, you know, such that subsequently you don't have to wield the authority stick in order to get them to cooperate and collaborate with you. So leaders are people of authority. Authority is crucial for getting the job of a leader done. All right. There are things that a leader will not and should not beg people to do. There are things that as a leader you won't and you shouldn't beg people, appeal to people, appease to people to do. People who are responsible to you, people who you have responsibility over, there are times to give instructions, all right, that they must follow. Okay? And some of that may include them having to decide whether or not they want to work with you. All right? But that's fine. That's fine. I always use the example of, Jesus when he spoke certain truths and he said, look, I'm the one in charge here. He said, I'm the living bread. If you don't eat me, and you don't eat my flesh, you're going to die. And the people didn't like that kind of statement. But he didn't beg them. All right? He was a man of authority. He knew that he was the truth. And if it takes authority to enforce the truth, why not? Pending when they are convinced. Luckily, there was another set, he didn't have to wield authority for because they were convinced. They knew exactly who he was and they submitted to him on that basis. Okay, so you see how these things play out. So without effectiveness, without authority, your effectiveness as a leader can be compromised, especially in the short run. Especially in the short run. Authority is an instrument for mobilizing your people and for enforcing discipline, for mobilizing your people and for enforcing discipline and for enforcing discipline. All right. When there is an aspect of leadership that is not open to democracy, that it's not how you feel or how your people feel, whether they like what you're asking them to do or not. There is an aspect of leadership, truth must be told, where you take full responsibility and you want things done exactly as you want them done. And there are many instances when that happens. That happens, and it could happen because you have the understanding, you have access to information that others do not have. You know certain things that they don't know. You are willing to take a risk on an issue, that they can't take responsibility for. So there are various reasons where and when you need to get things done the way you want it. It's not that that's how you conduct your affairs regularly. And so you don't have to throw your weight around every time. But there are times when that needs to happen. There are times when that needs to happen. Okay. I'm reminded of a situation, for example, where Peter looked at his master and Peter said to Jesus, he said, Jesus was saying, look, I'm going to die in 3 days and all of that, and Peter looked at him and said, no, you are not. Stop saying that. He virtually scolded his master. It was like suggesting that his master didn't know what he was saying, or that maybe his master was saying what is inappropriate, or declaring negative things, as some of us will claim today, But the master knew exactly what he was saying. He had a depth of understanding. He knew exactly what he was saying, and he knew that what he was saying had to come to pass, especially for the sake of Peter and all of us. And here was Peter now, standing in his way, And he had to call Peter to order, which he did with a strong hand. All right. He had to put him in his place because he had limited understanding and he had limited time to explain things to Peter. All right. As far as Peter was looking at it, I mean, how could his boss be thinking along those lines? Peter would love or even assumed that his input was welcomed. All right. And as much as this leader had respect for the input of his people, this wasn't a time, all right, to pay attention to that. And he had to put him in his place. That's what I talk about, with authority. With authority. Imagine if he didn't have authority. Peter would have stood successfully on his way, and it would have undermined his entire journey. It would have compromised even his leadership because some of the things that he said will never have come to pass. So ultimately, his guys would have also looked at him as a hypocrite of a leader. So it's good to look at these issues, in this manner. Now let's look at the concept of authority from what I call a delegated authority point of view, the imperative of delegated authority. And, perhaps the reason why authority is such must be accorded, must not be disregarded and must be given its rightful place will be better appreciated here. A time came, in Luke 9, I believe verses 1 and 2, and the same thing happened, in Luke chapter 10, when Jesus called his people and sent them out. All right. And we were told that he gave them power and authority. He was asking them to go and get some job done. He was delegating to them part of his assignment. He was saying, go into certain cities, I'm coming there, or go and prepare the grounds, go and start getting things done. Go and do the kinds of things that I'm coming there to do. All right. And so you would observe that when he did that in those two instances, he said he gave them authority. He gave them authority and power. Why did he give them authority and power? Because without it, there is no way that they would have been successful in their assignment. He didn't delegate just the function. He delegated the authority because they need authority and power to get the job done. So those of us who like to delegate the work without delegating the power to get the work done, the authority to get the work done, there's something here for you. Those of us who argue that you shouldn't use your authority to lead, you should, lead through influence and all of that, then we should ask you, when you delegate, why do you delegate work alone and you don't delegate authority with it? If authority was not necessary, why are you holding on to it? If authority was irrelevant, why are you not releasing it to your would-be protege